What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition. Calories versus hormones. Which are more important? The answer is they're both very important. But at the end of the day, when trying to lose fat, you need to keep in mind what your caloric intake is versus how much you're burning. And as you lose fat, as you hit stick points in your diet, meaning you don't lose weight, you have to adjust your calories, either lower your calories or increase your cardio to keep progress going. Now, there's a movement, and it's been going on a while. You have guys like Gary Taubes, which is a very intelligent individual, and a lot of other keto scientists or keto supporting scientists who believe that hormones are more important than caloric intake. With that said, I do believe that is somewhat true. As someone who is on hormone replacement therapy, I do know the benefits of having optimized hormone levels. That's absolutely true. But for someone to say that calories don't matter or calories are just false is completely absurd, in my opinion. And I'm gonna go less sciencey. I know a lot of my videos lately with the ingredient videos, they've been more sciencey, but I'm gonna go based on some common sense because there is science to back it up. In fact, Alan Aragon actually had a debate with Gary Taubes where Alan was saying that, hey, it is the caloric intake that matters most, where Gary Taubes was arguing that it's actually mostly sugar. I'm not a big fan of eating processed sugar, mainly for the health ramifications, but I'm also a guy who's willing to say that, hey, if you decrease your calories, if your energy balance is in the negative, meaning that you burn more than you consume, most likely you will lose fat. There are some caveats, one being metabolic adaptation. Metabolic adaptation is a survival mechanism where the body's like, holy shit, this is all the calories I'm getting. Let me conserve them so I don't die. Now, one thing your body will do is it manipulate its own hormones. It'll decrease your thyroid hormone, which is why bodybuilders, when in extreme dieting, will take things like T3 and to keep their thyroid revving. It'll decrease things like testosterone. One reason being in males. One reason being that your body, if you are in a state of starvation, will be like, hey, evolutionarily speaking, it's probably not wise for me to bring more offspring into the world. So I might want to lower this so my sex drive is lower, my libido is lower, and I'm really not in the mood to procreate at all. So your body can do this. Now, some coaches combat metabolic adaptation with a cheat day or cheat meal. However, what science has showed us, and again, I'm just speaking off the top of my head, this is like I'm conversing with you guys. But this data does exist if you want to look it up. What science has demonstrated, Lyle McDonald did a great article on this. What science has showed us is that it takes about 5 to 6 days of being at maintenance or above of calorie intake to kind of reset or have any effect on your thyroid, leptin, and other hormones that regulate fat loss and or hunger. So having that cheat day, in my opinion, is great for refilling your muscle glycogen. You'll feel full, you'll feel pumped, but at the end of the day, you're really not doing much to affect your hormones. Now, if you do hit metabolic adaptation, one strategy, raise your calories slightly, which means that if you're at 2,200, your maintenance is at, let's say, 3,000, you bring them up to around 3,100 for a week, or you just deal with it and keep cutting calories and increasing cardio. And it depends on the individual whether this is necessary, how lean their set point is. A lot of people, like me, I hold this body fat year round. So for me to get a little leaner and be extremely lean, contest lean, would take much less as someone who's set point, who's eating, let's say, a low cal, like 2,000 calories and maintaining, for them to lose from 15% body fat and get down to a lower body fat. So my opinion is hormones absolutely do matter. However, what we showed in a lot of different research studies, and there's so many studies that refute other studies, so a lot of these videos are going to come from opinion, from multiple studies I read. Now, there are a lot of studies that contradict 100% what I'm saying, which is why you have to take everything with a grain of salt and just go where it makes sense and use anecdote. What I do know is I've never prepped someone for a contest, and I've gotten thousands of people ready for shows over the years. When you consider my past, all the people I've coached, probably over 1,000 people if you consider I actually having a training organization under me. And not once have I been able to go, hey guys, just eat these food choices and you're going to lose fat. No. I have daily check-ins with my clients. my training services. I do coach still. I don't advertise it, although I kind of just did. It's at marclobliner.com. And what I do is every day my clients check in. And what I do is I monitor their weight and I adjust their macronutrients, sometimes daily, to make sure that we keep hitting those goals. However, different people do different things. I have some people with a lot of muscle mass who stall out at a relatively very, very low calorie. Then I have some girls who will just be able to eat 3,000 calories up to the day of the show. That's why every single macronutrient calculator on the internet is false. What works for the goose might not work for the gander. So it's not always the same. So my opinion, and just to extrapolate everything I've said and put it all together, bring it all together, is hormones absolutely do matter. Controlling your insulin and fat loss, I don't think is as important. And I take that for anecdote. You see guys like Alberto Nunez. You see guys who are on a flexible diet, who will eat a Pop-Tart alone in the middle of the day. And they will get more shredded than any keto guy ever. Yet, I'm not going to name names because it's kind of mean what I'm saying. Most of the guys who promote keto year-round online, they're always on a diet. They never stay lean. I've never seen Alberto fat. You know what I mean? I know he's a genetic anomaly. I'm pointing to that. But he even looked like, I know he eats like a bro, but Doug Miller, he eats a lot of carbs. And check it out though. The guys who are proclaiming that calories don't matter do not like carbs. They're keto guys. And the keto people have gone completely out of their fucking mind thinking that calories don't matter. In fact, someone I hold in very high regards, Marc Bell, I don't know if he did it because he just got ready for a show, so I'm not sure how he prepped for it. But I remember him posting on Instagram. People went crazy. He's like, calories don't matter. Now, there are differences, and a lot of people will point to this. I've heard a lot of lectures on this. I've done my research on it because I take my diet and training and nutrition knowledge very seriously. In that, you know, they've done things where, hey, guess what? Different fats have different caloric levels. You know, for example, MCTs have 8 calories per gram, whereas fat have 9. And also the way they calculate how many calories are in something is essentially by figuring out how much heat is generated. They say that doesn't work within the human body. However, what I do know is that it gives us a baseline. And we know that if our baseline is 3,000 calories, that if we take in less than that, and it's proven time and time again, that we will lose fat. Metabolic adaptation is the one caveat, but again, like I said, that can be remedied by having diet breaks, which I don't always, and I honestly, in my almost 20 years of coaching, I have only had to use a diet break other than just going reverse diet after the show. I've had to use a diet break, I believe, 3 times in my entire career. So for most part, I don't think it's very applicable to most of the population. However, to some of the population, I believe it's very, very applicable. For those who've come out of eating disorders, for those who've been dieting for a very prolonged period of time without a reverse diet and somehow want to get into a contest, or for those who are just literally fucked with a terrible metabolism, they have to do it. So calories do matter. They absolutely do matter. Hormones do matter. However, I've seen people lose fat with shitty hormones by really working hard and starving themselves, literally. But I've never seen someone get contest ready or extremely lean in the absence of any caloric restriction. Myself. Now, I'm sure there's a few people commenting who will say, yeah, it absolutely does happen. And to that I say, well, good for them. But for 99% of the population that I know of, it's not going to happen. But I do not believe that ketogenesis or being on a ketogenic diet offers you any more leeway for caloric intake. I believe that at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out is going to be the main thing. Whether you fill those calories in with extra carbs or extra fat, I believe you will have similar results. I also believe for the most part, the standard ketogenic diet is not the best thing for bodybuilders because I still do believe, and again, people throw science either way, that around 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein intake is optimal. If you're in ketosis, that's way too much. That extra protein will kick you out of ketogenesis. And we also know that ketogenesis isn't that necessary. I mean, you get 30%, I believe, of most of the benefits of ketosis without being in ketogenesis just by keeping your carbs low. And also realize that a carb spike from protein isn't the same as a carb spike from carbohydrate. A carb spike from protein, essentially, your insulin rises while your glucagon rises. So it keeps that same ratio of insulin to glucagon. While if you eat a high carbohydrate, a bolus meal of carbohydrate, your insulin rises, but your glucagon stays the same. So that creates a big deficit in glucagon and insulin, glucagon being the antagonist to insulin, and that's where the issues arise. So my thing is, guys, while beating around the bush, I believe that calories matter and hormones matter. But to say that if you abide by hormonal adherence, so to speak, or hormonal optimalization via carbohydrate restriction will get you to the promised land of leanness, I don't think that's correct. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Comment down below. I'm going to link an article down below that just explains to you what the ketogenic diet is. That's not a game.